field.
Yeah, he's running the place now. He took over from
Yeah,
him.
so.
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys, hate to pop in. We're at 12:01 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put everyone on mute so that we can go through as people are popping in, any interruptions and stuff like that, except for the speakers. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to put Lynn on the big screen.
Okay.
All right, Lynn.
There. Everybody can hear me okay, right? Wave if you can hear me. Okay. All right, we're good. So thank you all for taking the time to join us here today. My name is Lynn Sullivan, as many of you probably know at this point, and I am the President and Chief Executive Officer of Volunteers of America of Upstate New York. It really is nice to see so many smiling faces, and I hope that you are all staying healthy and well. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here today so that we can share with you some of the incredible work that we've had going on because of your support. So I'll start with a few housekeeping items. This is the first time that we've held a virtual update like this, so I'm going to ask for your forgiveness in advance for any technical bumps we have along the way. You may notice that I'm actually in my new office in the Children's Center, which just reopened yesterday, so you may hear children in the background. It really is so nice to have them and the teachers back, because as many of you know, we've had our Children's Center closed since March, since all the schools closed. We have everybody on mute to prevent background noise, but would love to keep this interactive. There's a button at the bottom that you can use to clap or give a thumbs up sign when you hear something worth celebrating, and hopefully there will be a lot of that today. If you need technical support, you can reach out to our IT support via chat. They will help you if you're having any trouble with sound or video, because we want to make sure that you can get as much out of the presentation today as you possibly can. And the chat box is open for comments and questions that you may have throughout today's presentation, again, so that we can keep this interactive. So I'd first like to take a minute to thank you all for your support, especially during the past 4 months. We've had many challenges all along the way. There's been an inability to get supplies. I'm guessing everybody on the call today probably went in search of cleaning supplies and toilet paper, which weren't on the shelves in the early days of COVID. Costs have increased. If I look at the cost of masks, for example, they were, I think, 50 cents when we first started buying them. They increased substantially throughout the COVID pandemic. And we've had to implement new procedures. How many of you today are now taking your temperature or on a daily basis or keeping contact logs? Our world has changed. There's been drastic changes, and we've needed to change and innovate along the way. But we've still worked to stay the course with an unwavering commitment to our community and those that are most vulnerable, those that have nowhere else to turn. We've also been blessed with support at just the right time. There's been a true community outpouring all along the past 4 months, and it continues. And our team has stepped up over and over again. I am so proud of our staff, especially our frontline staff, who have been essential workers since the beginning, for their dedication and commitment to those we serve. On behalf of our organization, those we serve, I want to thank you for all that you've done for our organization. I'd like to take a minute to share with you some of the accomplishments we've had over the past 4 months, and I'd first like to start with our housing programs. Every night since the COVID pandemic began, over 800 people in Rochester and Binghamton have had safe housing, food, and support to manage their mental and physical health needs. Our shelters have remained open from the beginning. We've never closed. So we've served the community, providing a safe haven to those that have nowhere else to turn. Our housing and rapid rehousing case managers have helped homeless individuals and families find and maintain housing, something that wasn't always easy throughout the COVID pandemic. And we've provided rental assistance to more than 80 households every month. We also installed wireless networks in 4 of our supportive housing buildings and distributed 120 tablets. That enabled us to continue to provide the services that we typically provide face-to-face via the internet. This was crucial to maintaining the health and well-being of the individuals we serve. That was actually made possible by United Way's Community Crisis Fund in Rochester and Binghamton, and we thank them for their support. We also have helped 60 seniors at our Cobblestone Senior Living Facility remain connected to families, doctors, helping them making sure they had groceries, their medications, and even pay bills. We actually distributed some tablets there as well that were connected to the internet so that they would have the ability to maintain that connection with families at a time when many seniors are shut in. And on Mother's Day weekend, we had our first virtual I Remember Mama event, an event that's been going on for now 30 years, where we delivered care packages and flowers to 150 senior mothers throughout Monroe County to let them know that they weren't forgotten on Mother's Day. Our jail-based facilitators have continued to provide much-needed services in partnership with the correctional facilities. And we've collected and distributed food to those unable to leave their homes. We've also helped people access telehealth services and set up mail orders for medications where necessary. We've coordinated access to COVID tests where needed and have supported people through the difficulty of self-isolating. And more, we've used technology to assist people in accessing services and even helped with stimulus, helping individuals secure stimulus checks because many of those individuals that lack a permanent address were having difficulty accessing the stimulus checks that they were due. Throughout the COVID pandemic, our staff has taken on extra responsibilities. They've been focused on the health and safety of those we serve while dealing with their own pandemic stress. They've truly went above and beyond. One of our employees went so far as to picking up ice cream a resident was missing because the corner store where he usually purchased it ran out. It seems like such a little thing, ice cream, even though I love ice cream, until you realize that this specific flavor made a huge difference in helping this individual maintain his sobriety. I am so fortunate to have had such an amazing team, and they continue to come to work and make sure that we serve our community each and every day. I'd like to take a minute now to introduce Angie Harbin. Angie's our Regional Vice President of Housing Services, and she's going to share with you some examples of how we've been able to help people through the pandemic thanks to your support. Andy has truly been an amazing leader in our organization, keeping our team focused, ensuring they've stayed healthy, and making sure that we continue to serve the people that we serve in our community. Angie, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Glitch number one. Thank you, Lynn.
I was going to say, this is our first of our technical difficulties.
I feel that during the run through. Anyway, thanks again, Lynn. I am happy to be here today to share with you some of the stories of the people that we have supported over the past few months because of your support. As Lynn described, we have a full continuum of shelter, housing, and support services to make sure that people are able to meet their basic needs. And the people that we're serving are very vulnerable. Most have no support systems. They're working really hard to overcome complex challenges that are difficult in the best of times. They're overwhelming during a pandemic, even life-threatening. And we were there because you were here, because you were there for us to help us do that. We help people find their way home. Imagine being a new mother. You've just given birth to your first child. You're leaving the hospital and you have nowhere to go. And then imagine doing that in the middle of COVID-19. That was one mother's story this past Mother's Day weekend. All of the concerns and anxieties of having a new baby to care for were exacerbated by the trauma of being homeless and the fear of bringing a newborn into a shelter. But VOA's family shelter is special. It has private rooms. She was able to safely self-distance with her baby. And our staff, most of whom are veteran moms, were able to reassure her that we were taking all the protocols, steps and protocols and all of the things necessary to make sure that all of our families were safe. And then they were able to help her learn the new motherhood basics. They helped out with the importance of nutrition, having those conversations, nursing, diapering. They were there for the late night feedings. And they were a critical support that prepared her for parenting in her own home. And then they made sure she had her own home. When she left her shelter, she left to a new apartment. She had the resources and the skills that she needed to care for her new daughter. She had a new start at life in the middle of a pandemic. We also help people access the resources they need to stay stable. So this pandemic changed the daily lives for all of us. And for some people, those changes were potentially destabilizing. People with fragile mental health, people struggling to hold on to their sobriety, all of a sudden they were losing their coping mechanisms and they were really, really struggling. VOA operates several supportive housing complexes where we provide a supportive living environment for people with disabling mental and behavioral health conditions. And Ralph is one of our residents. Ralph has been with us for several years. And and he struggled for several years. He, at the time of the pandemic, was attending group counseling sessions 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. He used our community room to access his social supports, which was his sister and his daughter, via email. At the time of the pandemic, he was 2 months sober. This was a really big deal. He was on his meds. He was doing really well. And then all of a sudden, he lost all of his supports. In-person counseling was no longer available. The community room had to close for safety. This could have robbed Ralph of all of his hard-won stability. Instead, thanks to that United Way grant that Lynn mentioned, we were able to provide Ralph with Wi-Fi access and a tablet and connect him with virtual counseling services. So same group, it's just now online. And then we were able to show him how to use Zoom. And so he was able to connect with his sister and his daughter, not only via email, but also he had the added benefit of being able to see and talk to them. And he's, he doesn't love the virtual counseling sessions, but he is sticking with them. They work, he's making them work. And he really, really does love being able to see and talk to his family. And he's doing okay. We also help people hope when they were feeling hopeless. Our housing case managers serve hundreds of people living in apartments and housing all over Monroe County. They help people who are homeless find housing. They help vulnerable people stay housed. And they never stopped working during the pandemic. They couldn't. We serve the elderly and people with fragile immune systems and chronic health conditions. This is when they needed us most. Homelessness and poverty are terrible, hard to navigate circumstances under the best of conditions, and they're terrifying during a pandemic when you really don't know how you're going to access all of the services that you depend on just to get by. So grappling with the unfamiliar challenges of serving people remotely, VOA's housing case managers really stepped up. They set up their home offices, they figured out new technologies, they started using snail mail, so we're doing old technologies too. And they also did in-person meetings when necessary to make sure people were able to navigate the uncertainty and anxiety of this threat to their health. They set up or coordinated apartment viewings for people who were homeless. They made the regular check-in phone calls and sent encouraging notes to people who were really struggling. They dropped off food when people could no longer access their usual forms of assistance. They helped people coordinate the telehealth appointments and set up prescription mail orders. They were there to help people develop whatever new coping mechanisms they needed to help them access their services in new ways, and then just to reassure them that they weren't alone, they had support, and that they were going to be okay. And these are just a few examples. I really could go on and on and on of the impact that you have had on people's lives and the increased importance of our services during this pandemic. When we say that VOA serves 6,000 people a year, those aren't numbers, those are people. They're people that I have the pleasure to see every day, and it's amazing the work that we do. Those are people who are out there struggling. They need our life-changing services. And we're able to help because you give. You have supported our program participants in so many different ways. Some of you donated your time to sew masks, some donated food and personal hygiene items, some gave money to programs, others wrote letters of encouragement. And I just want to let you know, genuinely, that all of those acts of kindness and support make a huge difference in the lives of the people that we're serving. So I thank you for stepping up and making a difference when you could have otherwise ignored a call for help. And thank you for being here again today to show your support. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Lynn so she can provide you with the rest of the meeting updates. Lynn?
Thank you, Angie, for all that you and your team do. I think you'll agree with me that the housing team's tireless efforts and initiative are truly impressive. From the young mother who would have had nowhere else to go when she left the hospital, to Ralph being able to reconnect with his family and maintain his mental and health well-being, to those messages of hope, everything that's been done over the past few months has truly made a difference in the lives of those we serve. I'd next like to share with you a little bit about the accomplishments and efforts of our Children's Center team, which has just reopened as of yesterday. Normally, during the school year, we have 350 plus children with over 280 in our pre-K programs. In mid-March, we had to temporarily close the center along with when the schools all closed. But our top priority has remained preparing the children we serve for success in school. Our staff has been committed to teach and support families throughout the pandemic. And since March 13th, I'd like to say that we've had a spring of firsts. We had our first Facebook reading session, and since then, we've had 55 virtual learning sessions streamed live on our Facebook group page. We've also posted 143 educational videos for students. We've had our first Google Classrooms. 18 classrooms are now underway, which are providing daily educational programming. We even had one for babies, if you can believe that, which was super fun to watch. We had our first pre-K Zoom dance party. It was so popular that we had a second one. And boy, I can tell you, those kids have some moves. We had our first pre-K Zoom prom, where tiaras and bow ties were prevalent with our pre-K students. Again, super fun to watch. We've also had our first parking lot parades, where the children had an opportunity to connect with the teachers that they so greatly missed as they were quarantined in their own homes. It was so popular, it created a traffic jam on Lake Avenue, but we held 2 more before the end of the school year. Our school nurse posted daily fitness video workouts so that children could keep exercising and keep healthy. We also had weekly cooking lessons coordinated by our kitchen manager. And throughout the COVID pandemic, we distributed over 2,000 learning packets, each with 2 to 3 weeks of learning activities, so that families could continue to work with their children on their to ensure educational success. We held weekly FaceTime and Zoom conferences between our teachers, students, and their families, and our family developers connected families to essential services and resources, many of which were so critical throughout the COVID pandemic, which is still going on. And at the end of June, a special parking lot graduation where 144-year-olds received diplomas wearing their graduation caps came through our parking lot. Those children were well prepared to advance to kindergarten. We even set up a photo booth that captured the precious moment for families, because that moving up ceremony from pre-K to kindergarten really means something to families. We even held a moving up parade for our 3-year-olds who are moving up to their final year of pre-K. We've tried to keep things as normal as possible for these children that have been at home instead of within our Children's Center school walls. And just yesterday, we reopened our Children's Center for on-site daycare this summer, along with virtual enrichment programming, because there was such a critical need in the community for daycare so that parents could return to work. Our Children's Center has been ranked among the top 3 in Rochester, and I certainly believe this is a well-deserved honor based on the impressive efforts of our staff. Whether you've supported the VOA, when you support the VOA, you touch our lives of your neighbors in need, of thousands of them, 6,000 of them, as Angie mentioned. We have one organization with us today who has been a tremendous community partner in helping us advance our mission. And I'd like to introduce Colleen Madison, who is the Rochester Market President for Bank of America. Bank of America has consistently supported Volunteers of America and our emergency family shelter with over $25,000 in just the past 2 years. Colleen toured our shelter back a while ago, and she's been an advocate for us ever since and those we serve. Bank of America has provided funding, donated bed linens, encouraged employee involvement in their supply drives. They've even made cards of encouragement and appreciation for the resident staff and more, and those cards were critically important to many of our residents to let them know they weren't forgotten throughout the COVID pandemic. Colleen, we are so grateful for all you do for the Volunteers of America and the support of Bank of America. I'm so glad you could be with us today. Colleen, would you like to say a few words?
Absolutely, Lynn, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate the invite to this fantastic virtual meeting. But first, I really just want to thank you, your team, your board, your volunteers. Everything that you do for our community is so, I mean, it's invaluable. And you mentioned my visit to your facility, and I will tell you, I was overwhelmed with everything I experienced and observed there. But really, the compassion and the kindness that you all show for those people that are in need, and you're making a big difference. So I did want to just obviously say that. And to your point earlier, on any given night in our great city, there could be more than 850 people that are homeless, and 150 of those on any given night are children. So again, thank you for everything that you all have done. And you're right, we've been partners for some time, and it's really because our priorities are very much in line. We focus on individuals and families and to provide them with basic needs. And more importantly, our mission is to keep families together, which is what you do every day. So for us at Bank of America, we'll continue to focus on that. And I really feel as though now more than ever, with everything that's going on, quite frankly, in the world, that we need to come together more than we ever have. So whether it's working on addressing what we've talked about today, poverty, homelessness, the humanitarian crisis with COVID, and the racial inequality that unfortunately today still exists. So recently, Bank of America did announce that we have committed $1 billion over the next 4 years to exactly those priorities. We want to be a part of the solution. So you'll hear more from us, but economic mobility is important. Racial equality is very important, and healthcare initiatives, whether it's COVID and finding a cure for that. So we will continue to be a good corporate citizen here locally. I would say for any company that is on the phone that may have never toured or taken the opportunity to visit your facility, I challenge you to do it, because I promise you that you will leave the facility with a different perspective than going in. So Lynn, I just wanted to say thank you again for having me. And, again, please keep doing what you do, and we will be right there with you by your side all the way. So thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here, and we are so grateful to Bank of America for their ongoing support of our family shelter. How many organizations do you know of that have committed $1 billion to address the humanitarian crisis facing our country? Bank of America has really stepped up to try to make a difference in our community. And we appreciate all you do in helping us with the individuals that we serve on a day-to-day basis. So Colleen, thank you again to you and the Bank of America team for helping us make a difference. Throughout the COVID pandemic, everybody has banded together during times of uncertainty. We have truly been blessed by our community and the outpouring support. We've had to innovate and adapt services using technology, and we've been able to do that because of you. You've enabled us to do incredible things for the most vulnerable in our community at a critical time in our almost 125-year history. And I have no doubt that what we've learned in the past few months is going to open up additional opportunities for us to serve the Upstate New York community, because there still is so much to do. We couldn't do what we do without you. If you'd still like, and we appreciate all the support that you've provided up to this point. If you'd like to continue to make a difference in the lives of those we serve, you can visit our link in the chat box. And you can also visit our website to learn more about our organization. We greatly appreciate your support with everything you've done, from cards and letters to funding support to supplies. Your support has helped us get through the COVID pandemic and helped us continue to make a difference in the lives of those we serve. If you're looking for other ways to get involved, as Colleen mentioned, while we may not be able to have you on site for a tour, we do have virtual tours available, and we invite you to take one of those. You can also connect with us on social media. Just like today, we're posting things regularly, and we're trying to keep everybody aware of what's going on a day-to-day basis. On September 21st, we are actually still going to hold our annual golf tournament at Locust Hill Country Club. It's a great time. It will be outdoors and socially distanced, and it's one of the largest fundraisers for our organization. So if you'd like to come out, have a great time, and come support the organization, we invite you to come join us. And then on March 11th of 2021, I encourage you to come help us celebrate at our virtual gala, our first ever virtual gala, to celebrate our 125th anniversary of Volunteers of America serving the community. Thank you all for joining us here today. and for all you do to support our mission and those we serve. I'd also like to thank my team who's on with us today for all they've done to help us serve the community and for helping with today's presentation, because I can tell you we practiced this a few times. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week, a beautiful summer, and that you enjoy this nice sunshiny day. Again, it's so wonderful to see all your smiling faces, and thank you for all you do. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy, enjoy.